I was born with a bilateral cleft-looking palate. Being born with a difference, I think initially is kind of what really starts my journey, my career, in my life. I was getting bullied, at age 7 and all the way through grade school. Have confidence issues all the way through, probably until my early mid-20s. I was able to use sports to compete and demand respect from people because I was beating them on the court, I was beating them on the field.
That's a protection, but it's intercepted. It's Bighill again. Encore Adam Bighill, and this time, touchdown.
After playing in the Canadian Football League for 6 years, Bighill was able to secure a roster spot with the New Orleans Saints as a 28-year-old rookie.
Adam Bighill, 6-time CFL All-Star, 8-time CFL West All-Star, 3-time CFL Most Outstanding Defensive Player, and 3-time Grey Cup champion.
The guys who got in this locker room are special, as you can see that. So we believe all the way that this was ours.
All right, speed round. Were there any coaches growing up through those early years that really stuck out in your mind?
In both of those speeches, I gave an incredible amount of credit to.
How do you prioritize self-care?
One of my biggest battles is, having enough.
Can you give me maybe your top 3 best moments on the field?
So those 3 moments would have to be those.
I'm Garrett Wong, and this is the Investing to Win podcast. How do you define success, and what does winning look like for you? Very special guest today. I'm sure you all recognize him, and I've been waiting for this day to come. Adam Bighill, welcome to my studio.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Garrett.
Honor is all mine. Like I said, everybody knows who you are. At least if you follow football, you should. I think what I want to explore today, rather than just talking about football, obviously you've got some other things going on in your life, but I really want to explore your journey and really do something a little bit different. So why don't we maybe just start with a little bit about your story and your background?
Yeah, sounds good. So I'm American. I grew up in Montesano, Washington, small little town, about 3,000 people, about an hour and a half from Seattle. I think first and foremost, I was born with a bilateral cleft-looking palate, which is a facial difference, which requires surgeries and everything of that matter. So I would say for myself growing up, I had a great household, loving parents and supporting parents, and they allowed me to play sports year round and really be active as I was a pretty high energy kid, but with being born with a difference, I think initially is kind of what really starts my journey, my career, in my life, in the sense that I was getting bullied, at age 7 and all the way through grade school. I did have to go through those tough times. I did, have confidence issues all the way through, probably until my early mid-20s. From stuff that you got to deal with a cleft. And so, with that being said, for me, finding friends, I was able to do that through sports. I was able to use sports to compete and demand respect from people because I was beating them on the court, I was beating them on the field, and naturally, I just became very competitive. I don't like to lose at anything ever. Doesn't matter if it's a football game, a golf match, or a board game with family, or anything like that. So I've always had this chip on my shoulder, and I think it's from being born with a difference, and the feeling of wanting to be respected and wanting to feel normal, that has given me the drive and maybe superpower, if you will, to be able to stick to a journey and a path of which, when I told my parents when I was 7, I wanted to play professional football. And for me, being now in my 13th year playing professional, it's pretty awesome to look back at that journey and realize it all started with, a dream, and then from there, decision making and goals. I set goals very regularly, and I had to sacrifice a lot to get to where I am now. But it doesn't start without that kind of, who am I and how did I get here kind of story. I had a lot of help along the way, a lot of great teachers and coaches. But that's a little bit about my humble beginnings.
I'd say they're more than humble, but no, I want to get into that whole challenge of your struggle with the cleft palate and how that has shaped. But I'd like to talk about you touched on it a little bit, just about the whole sports thing. Can you tell the audience when football really became a passion for you?
Yeah, it was really at going into age 7. I was playing tackle football in my first, like, grade 1. I think it was 6 tackle, not 7. I think I was able to play, a year early just because my dad got me on the team. So I've been playing football for 28 years now. I'm 35 now. Been playing professionally for 13. It started at a very early age. I mean, I don't know what about it at the time, but let's just be honest. It is the most violent game of chess you can play. And you can hit someone as hard as you want, and you can't get in trouble for it. Right? So it was a great way to kind of deal with aggression and anger and frustration. But, there's so much more behind football that I really appreciate. But I think in sports in general, for myself or anybody, teach you so much about life, and you don't even know it as a kid. And that's where there's a lot of opportunity and growth that happens for kids within sport. And the power that really coaches have when coaching to impact a child, because you can talk to a child differently than your parent. You can talk to a child differently than their teacher. As a coach, you can demand certain things from them and talk to them differently and get certain kinds of responses that other people in their life can't. And I firmly believe that's what helped shape me. And those are some of the things I look forward to giving back now as I coach my son and other kids. It's rewarding.
Were there any coaches growing up through those early years that really stuck out in your mind that just like, okay, this is really turning me on a path that I think I like?
Yeah. At the high school level, Coach Terry Jensen was he's well known throughout the state of Washington for, his career coaching. And then, with that, Eric Stanfield would be another coach that has such a monumental effort and role in the success of the program. He was also our strength and conditioning coach. He's the one that pushed me hard in the gym every single day, and helped me get to that next level as well. So, I mean, there's some mentors in my life that, I've given a lot of credit to. Like over here, you'll see that's my Montesano Hall of Fame plaque, and up here would be my Central Washington College Hall of Fame plaque. I was inducted just over a year ago. And both of those speeches, I gave an incredible amount of credit to those people because they deserve it, and I wouldn't be here without them shaping me as an athlete, but also shaping me as a man.
Yeah, I know this is a real estate podcast, financial podcast. We'll get into the financial stuff later for your other business. Can you maybe give a short summary of the career? Because I think it's interesting for people to see the journey itself, right? Not to just say, okay, here's a CFL, a Grey Cup winner, all-time, defensive. Maybe kind of walk us through that, what that journey looks like, and maybe some of those feelings of challenge and frustration.
Yeah, so I came from a small school, which means you're naturally going to be more under-recruited. You're playing, smaller teams and so forth. I was undersized, being, 5'10", 198 pounds. So I was undersized in terms of college recruiting. And so from that matter, there was some adversity and struggle with that. I mean, I was invited to the Nike Regional Combine, which is in the entire Pacific Northwest. And I was named one of the top producers at the camp in terms of linebacker. I was named as one of the top players there. And, with that being the case, most guys are getting D1 scholarships, getting their school paid for. I wasn't getting that. I got this recognition, but yet college scouts were really jumping all over me. And I ended up getting an opportunity to play at Central Washington University. You know, I always kind of thought that, you know what, like, I know I want to play professional football, but I know I have to go to college and play college first. And, you know, if I'm good enough, the pro scouts will find me. And I just need to get to that next step, which was college football. And I had a great opportunity to do that at Central, in which I did. You know, I was a freshman All-American. And then from there, went on to, you know, each year having great successful seasons and getting All-American by my senior year, and they had an opportunity to play professionally after that. You know, I came out during the 2011 NFL lockout, which was the hardest time to come out of college if you wanted to play at the next level, as anyone can imagine. So I ended up taking a contract in BC to play the CFL, just because I didn't know how long the NFL lockout was going to happen. So I started there, you know, was a guy who many counted as maybe one of the first cuts in camp. And I remember after the first preseason game, one of the media guys came up and said, "Hey, you're still here. We expect you to be a first-round cut. You had a great game in the first preseason game, but maybe tell us a little bit more about yourself." And I was kind of like taken back. Like, what do you mean you expected me to be a first-round cut? In my mind, I expected myself to make this team and be a starting linebacker. Like, I never conceived that anybody out there else would think differently, but it's because I was so focused on what I was doing, I guess, that, you know, people look at things a bit differently. And, you know, to fast forward that, you know, we win the Grey Cup in 2011. I'm playing primarily a special teams role. And in 2012, I have the opportunity to win a starting job. And, you know, I never look back. And here we are now in 2020, going on 2024 season, where, you know, I've won 3 Grey Cups. I've won 3 Defensive Player of the Year awards. You know, I can't point you to someone who's done that in the last decade or two. You know, I often say, you know, it's not by accident that I'm here and doing what I'm doing. There's a lot of sacrifice, a lot of hard work, a lot of discipline that has taken to get me from the high school level to the college level, and from the college level to the pro level, and from the pro level to being one of the best to do it. And that's one of my goals, is to be one of the best to ever do it. You know, I spent the first 6 years in BC. Then I was signed by the Saints. You see that jersey right up here in the helmet. I went to play for the Saints for a year in the NFL, and then that's when I came back to play in Winnipeg after that. So it's been a good journey. It's not done yet, but, you know, it's a pretty awesome journey in terms of a lot of the things that it's afforded me to do and people to meet, and you know, really things to really level up myself as a professional.
No, just an incredible career so far, Adam. Just for the uninitiated, I mean, you said 5'10" linebacker. What is the typical average size, you know, going through a combine?
Yeah, your average size would be probably 6'1.5", 6'1", you know, so not drastically different. Your average weight would probably be around the 230 mark, 232, which, you know, I'm right there. You know, all of my combine testing in terms of speed, vertical, shuttle, L-cone, all of my tests in the year I came out would have been in the top 3 producers at the NFL Combine in my linebacking position. So I would have been a top producer in all of those categories the year I came out. So, you know, in terms of speed, athleticism, power, explosiveness, I'm, you know, comparable right there at the top of the top. But the things that, you know, they're measuring that I can't control, which would be, you know, my arm length, my height, you know, the size of your hands, you know, those things I can't control. Which, you know, at the end of the day, that is what it is. The NFL is a bit different in terms of the politics that come into play. Were you drafted? What school did you play for? Did you get a signing bonus? You know, there's a lot of factors that come into allowing you to have success in the NFL, which I didn't really understand, because my entire life I've worked extremely, extremely hard so that when an opportunity came up, I took advantage of it. And I've done that time and time again. From the high school level, you know, as a freshman, they're going starting both ways as a sophomore, to the college level, starting as a true freshman when the opportunity came, to making my first career opportunity in the professionals happened with the BC Lions, to earning my first starting job with the BC Lions. Like, when opportunity knocked, I took advantage. Not because of random acts, but because I prepared very, very hard for when those times came, I was ready to take advantage of it. And the same thing kind of, I prepared sort of hard for the NFL. I was ready. I went in and had a great performance, but it was the first time in my life where I was not rewarded with the opportunity based on even, going in there, earning it and deserving it. And that was kind of the first time in my life I hit that roadblock and was like, this kind of sucks. I've never had this experience before, despite earning it, right?
Yeah, hard work does not necessarily equal success because there's so many other factors, like you mentioned, politics and different things. Why do you think that that first evaluator in BC just wrote you off? Why would that have been?
Well, so when I took a workout with the BC Lions, I did it early April. So we'll call me a week, and they called me in a week and actually said, "Hey, we can't bring you to camp. We really like you, but we're actually not going to invite you to training camp here at the BC Lions." And at that point, I had a pre-med degree. I was looking at going to orthopedics if football didn't work out. So I really was at this crossroads where, like, am I really starting to think about life without football? And it was the very next day, I get a call back saying, "Hey, we made room for you. Can you come to camp with us at BC Lions?" And it was like, you think about that, the lows into the highs in a matter of 24 hours. And I used to have somebody that was in the building with BC Lions and fought for me and said, "Hey, no, you have to bring this guy to camp. Like, you have to give him a shot." And that's all I've ever needed, right, as an opportunity. And, someone fought for me to have an opportunity, and, look where I am now. And, so, it's kind of funny how 24 hours can change your life.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm really curious because for all the parents that are listening that want their children to live the big dream, is there a point in a young athlete's mind where they feel like they can really go for it, where a dream might become just a threat of reality?
In my experience, the way I want to, and I do a lot of school speaking. I talk to a lot of kids. I do a lot of leadership counseling, a lot of mentorship. It's one of my favorite things to do, actually. In my mind, I was going to make my dream happen, or I was going to be okay with the fact that it didn't. Let's put it this way. I was willing to sacrifice as much as I could and put everything and every ounce of effort into making it happen, so that in the event it didn't happen, I could sleep at night knowing that I did absolutely everything I could, right? So what does that mean? That means, training daily, every single day with some form of training, some form of getting better in the weight room or running on the field or, watching film, stuff like that. Stretching, recovery, nutrition, taking care of nutrition, to be able to grow, get bigger, faster, stronger. And then, to this day, I've never drank any alcohol. I've never done any drugs. I've never done anything. Because, at the high school level, you got a lot of friends that are breaking off and partying and doing different things. And I knew that wasn't going to make me better. So anything that's not going to make me better, I'm not going to include it in my life. And that's been a sacrifice and a thing I've done in my entire life. And, from that point, I have a lot of acquaintances, a lot of people I can talk and hang out with, with a social group, but there's not many people I call my best friends that we hang out together outside of everything else, because we have like-minded, focused goals that we want to achieve, which means eliminating X, Y, and Z. So, those things I think are very, very important to sacrifice. So when it comes to talking to young kids, it's a matter of, you have to believe in your mind you're going to make this happen, because it's not just going to happen for you. If you're passionate about something, you need to go get it. You need to take the necessary steps and make the necessary decisions on a daily basis and be consistent, because it doesn't have to happen after 5 days in a row of doing it. Because it doesn't happen. It doesn't have to happen after 20 days. Maybe it doesn't happen after 500 days, but it will happen is the point. And, when I came in as a freshman, I wasn't the biggest, fastest, and the strongest, right? I was actually pretty upset. As I said, pretty competitive. I was pretty upset. There's other guys lifting more weight than me in the weight room and faster than me on the field. But by the time I was a senior, when they started here and I was here, by the time 4 years have gone by, this is what I look like, and they're not even on the screen because of the amount of work that I've done and how that compound effect always builds. You can't get time back. You can't say, I wish I would have done that yesterday. So when you take advantage of every single day and you put in the time and you put in the effort, sure enough, it separates you from the rest. And for talking to kids and getting to understand that that is what's necessary. And, there's not a lot of people willing to do that, actually. There's less competition up there because not a lot of people are willing to do it. And, it's truly rewarding and helping people understand what's possible if you have a passion. Those are things I really like to talk to people about.
This is a business podcast. We're going to get into your business in a little bit. But one thing I like to speak about, especially on my podcast and my YouTube channel, is perseverance, focus and perseverance. And just a little side segue here. I was actually on a plane coming back from vacation, and on Air Canada, they had these little 6-minute vignettes almost by this film company that I reached out to in Ontario because I'm going to be showcasing them. And it was just on these little businesses in Ontario that had to pivot during COVID. They refused to close their doors. If it was a restaurant, they did takeout. If it was a movie theater, then they started doing delivering popcorn to people. Like it just, that level of determination and just saying, I'm doing this at all costs. And I just want to take a small segue back into your journey, like you said, with the cleft palate. How much of that struggle and passion is it drives you to say, I'm just doing this because no one's telling me I can't?
Yeah, I think it's a lot of me. I think being born with a bilateral cleft lip and palate for me was probably, while it's probably my biggest curse, it's obviously my biggest blessing. Because it, I think, motivated me in a very unique way and made me want to achieve things in a very unique way. I remember my dad, when I asked him, like, hey, Dad, why did this happen? I think I asked him probably when I was like 5 or 6 years old. I just start to realize, like, oh, I'm different, And he said that, God has given you these challenges, but in return, he's given you incredible athletic ability. So that's something that I firmly believed in, that it was a kid, is I really have a superpower that no one else has. And, as I reflect and look back, sure enough, I feel like it has given me that chip on my shoulder to push past any obstacle, that is there. And I realize there's so many times in life where people can let obstacles knock them down and say, no, this is too hard, or, I realize that, but you got to think every single obstacle is an opportunity to grow, or, to not, an opportunity to make the best of a situation or not. No matter what you have facing you, I think we would all agree in our life that we want to go like this on our improvement. We would love to improve at a linear scale. And quite often, like, you're met with these challenges, and if you don't want to make the best of it, it's going to knock you down. It's not going to be the best for you. You're not going to be growing as well from it, and it could cause harm, right? And so, figuring out how to handle your life and make the best of every situation, even though every situation can be very shitty, it's only going to help your growth going forward to find the best way through that. I lost my mom when I was 13, pretty young. That was very tough. And, I dedicated, once again, my career and my life and achieving my goals that I told her I was going to achieve. It was an extra layer of dedication to make my dream happen for her. And I could have took that in a very negative way, shut down, stopped doing what I was doing, and played woe is me and the world isn't fair. And, but I didn't. I dedicated my life and my efforts to her, where, like I said, it's very easy to not do those things. My journey has been unique. Everyone has their own unique journeys. I just hope that when I tell my story, it helps to empower people, whether you're an adult or a child, to be able to find an inner passion and a drive to be a better you and reach your ultimate potential. because it's there for us all to go do. But once again, you have to take it. Like, no one's going to do the work for you.
100%. You know, I always like to say adversity breeds success, or you don't know success until you failed. You know, I was reading the other day as I was researching for this interview, you know, your injury last fall, partially torn calf muscle, a week before the big championship game. I mean, I can't even imagine, and the level of focus that's needed to be a pro athlete. In the high pressure world of professional football, how do you maintain that focus and composure during these types of times?
Yeah, that was a great question. Yeah, I would say I was very nervous in every high school football game I had. I was very nervous my first 2 years of college football. And then I figured it out. Like, why am I nervous? And the nervous is just like you're going to take a test, right? It's like the unknown. What's on the test? What could happen? Do I know everything? And I figured out the key to really not being nervous and handling pressure is just understanding the work that you put in and the level of sacrifice that you put in to own and understand your craft, so that there is no more nervousness or no more pressure because you realize I'm prepared, right? Think about it. If you study 8 hours, you know, for over 3 days for this test coming up, you're going to feel probably pretty prepared. And then you're going to go on that test not feeling as nervous, and you're going to be looking forward to crushing it, right? And it's the same thing. I realized that I took a step back and said, look at all the work you're doing in the classroom, on the football side, on the training side, on the recovery side, okay, on the football IQ side. You're doing it all. You don't need to be nervous because you're going to go out there and take care of business. Like, you're going to play your best like you always do. You're going to give your best effort, and you're going to be prepared to react and perform in the right ways. And for me, that's what I've, focused on my entire life. Once I figured that out, is as long as you're prepared, there is no pressure, because you already put the pressure on yourself. No external pressure is going to affect me at all. It doesn't matter if it's the preseason game or the biggest game of the year. I prepare. And from that preparation, you're ready to go.
One of my favorite quotes, and I have to look it up one of these days, I can't remember who said it, but there's no such thing as bad luck. Chance favors the prepared, right? And that's exactly what you just said. That mindset, I think it's a nice segue into your financial business. Why don't you tell the audience what inspired you to pursue a career in financial advisory?
Yeah, it's a great question. So, after winning the Grey Cup my first year, I got a nice little bonus, and I was like, okay, well, I should start investing in my future. And I just ended up having a bad experience with an advisor that I picked and a firm that I picked, and being a really smart math and science guy, I understand numbers and statistics. I didn't understand the level of complexity and offerings within the financial world, so you don't really know what's out there. So I trusted that this was going to be a good fit, but without knowing enough about the financial industry, there would have been much better offers and opportunities out there for me, should I had more information. And so, with having a bad experience from performance to, fees to, lack of selection on what kind of product I could actually be invested in, it was just, that turned me on the path of wanting to learn my own journey in the financial world, invest my own money for the rest of my life, and be educated in this space, so that I didn't ever feel like I didn't understand or have the ability to make the best decision for myself, and really wanted to help other people not make the same mistakes as me. And so that's what really motivated me into the space, just some bad experiences. And I've been fortunate now to be doing this for almost 5 years, and I have a really good experience, during the journey. I mean, I'm working with an independent firm, Wellington, Altus Private Wealth. Independence is for me, what I found through my journey is key. You need somebody who is going to give you an independent opinion that has the ability to invest anything in the market for you, whether it's a stock, a bond, a mutual fund, an ETF. It could be private equity, private credit. It could be any private equity from a real estate standpoint to, owning different kinds of small businesses. I mean, the landscape is huge. And for me, independence was important because I can bring what's best for a client, put it in the portfolio, customize it just for that client so that it's perfect. It works exactly how we anticipate it to work. As opposed to saying, hey, I have fund 1, 2, or 3, you can pick from, which one do you want? Right. And
no, that's very typical, right?
Yeah. So to me, being able to create a portfolio and an experience in the client's best interests, and be a fee-based service so that there is no incentives for me to generate commission, buy, sell, trade, buy this, sell that, buy this, sell that. When we charge a flat fee for a client, that's what you pay. There's no extra fees for buying or selling, moving into a different fund or different stock. I mean, everything's covered in terms of under a flat fee. This is what you get: the financial planning, the buys, the sells, the recommendations, of the advice, all covered under one thing. So there's no incentive or no perceived conflict for when I recommend something, because it truly is what's best for the client.
When on the opposite side of that, maybe expand on that a little bit, do a deeper dive, because I'm sure some people, again, this is an investing podcast, have a little bit of an idea, but maybe really get down into it of what the other side looks like with fees and how some wealth managers make their money.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think most businesses moving towards an advice-based business where it's a flat fee for services. Now, when an advisor charges a flat fee, whatever that arrangement is the cost we pay the advisor. But then when the advisor also selects other third-party fund managers, there's going to be a cost for that manager as well. So you have to take your management fee for your advisor, management fee for the third-party fund manager, put them together. That's your all-in cost. And so that's typically where business is moving towards in the past, or even still a bit today. There's commission-based business, which means when you buy this, there's a charge to you. When I sell it, there's a charge to you. When I recommend something to buy, obviously, it's going to generate commission. When I recommend we sell something, it's going to generate a commission. And that can be easily, I think, abused with advisors, and it has been abused in the past with advisors on recommendations that may not be best for the client, but it's best for the advisor to be able to, generate commissions. So that's something I definitely want to stay away from, and that's something I definitely recommend people staying away from, so that they don't have an experience of in and out, moving from here to there, where it may not actually be beneficial to you, but it's actually building wealth for the advisor, not necessarily the client. So that would be kind of the other side of the coin. I work with portfolio managers on my team so that we actually take away the third-party management, and we do it in-house. So the advisors that I work with on my team, they're portfolio management licensed, so that they're the ones building the portfolios and managing the assets, so that when we have an advisor fee for clients, we don't have to pay other third-party management fees as well and combine them. Our fee is what we charge, because we handle the investment management piece ourselves. So we save clients a lot of money that way on the advice side by doing our own security selection in our own model portfolios. So that's one very unique thing that we do. The other unique thing that we do specifically as well is I add in a lot of private equity opportunities for kind of our higher net worth clients that have the opportunity to, take some liquidity off the table and say, for this part of the portfolio, I don't need to touch it for the next 5 years. We can put that in the private equity opportunity that's going to generate much higher returns over that time frame, because of the fact that we are giving up liquidity to get a higher return is kind of the trade-off. So pretty unique offering what we bring to clients, and it's very different from what a lot of other people would have experienced. And in the private equity side, like I said, we do real estate deals that come up, whether it's multifamily or commercial or industrial, or even cell towers. There's things that came up on the utility side. And then on the private equity side, we then do stuff, whether it's maybe ownership in a major sports franchise, whether it's the NFL, MLB, NBA, stuff like that. There's opportunities that have came up there. So kind of, we kind of provide everything for a client, and the way we do it is quite a bit different than what most people would be experienced with.
Yeah, I mean, I think what really resonates with me, Adam, is your vision. I don't mean the vision on the field, but maybe I do, right? A metaphor for life, because I mean, you said 5 years already. I mean, you're still in the middle of your very busy football career, and you're already looking towards the next phase and building this business. How do you translate that into that level of focus, and then maybe speak a little bit about what that means for your clients coming from a professional football?
Yeah, that's a great point. Like, my plate is very full. I mean, I do have 2 full-time jobs, but I do have great teams behind me on both sides. And I think that's the most important thing that, you or I would know by this point, is that, you've got to be able to rely on great people. And I do have great people that I'm associated with. It makes my job a lot easier, and that I get to focus on my wheelhouse very intently, and I can have the team behind me handle client requests, little client emails, where I can really focus on the macro stuff of where we are in the market, understanding the macroeconomic views, fundamental analysis, technical analysis of different companies, and be able to focus on the portfolio management and really investment recommendation side. And at any point in time, only 5% of portfolios need adjusting or actual immediate changes. Like, a lot of the plans we have they have a long-term focus, and it doesn't mean that we don't touch them every year, but it just means that at any point in time, we don't need to make wholesale changes. So, from that standpoint, I do have a busy world. I'm usually up at 4:30. I'm training at 5 here in the off season. Then I'm getting to the office. I also coach Recruit Ready here in the city, which is a select football program where we take kids to the States and do tournaments and compete down there. And I was in the office all day, and then come home, and I'm dad, and I'm a husband, and I coach my son's flag football team and stuff like that. So, there's not a lot of time in the day. But you know what, at the end of the day, the journey I've taken to get here and sacrifice the hard work, it goes right into the business side. I know what it takes to be successful. I know the amount of time and effort that's required. And I'm not scared of hard work, clearly. So it usually resonates very well with clients that, and a lot of clients that I work with, they get it. They understand it. They run businesses. They're looking for people that who played sports, who understand how to work as a team, who are motivated, who are driven, don't need to be told twice, can manage their schedules and be leaders. Like, they get it. And so the clients that I work with generally very well understand the value of having me, but not only me, but also my team, help manage their financial futures. I mean, it's something that's pretty well received.
No, and I didn't mean to imply in any way that your clients wouldn't be happy because you have a life outside of, financial. I think what I meant is the whole, like you alluded to it, Adam, teamwork, right? And I think no one understands the concept of team more than a professional athlete. How do you foster that sense of teamwork amongst your peers? Because as anybody knows, if you're just kind of try to do a business on your own, founder, entrepreneur, you're going to fail very quickly. You have to start to hire people, but you already have an entire team behind you. Why don't you speak to the audience about that?
Yeah. I played team sports my entire life, and the goal is to win the championship, win it all, and have lots of success. And you realize that everybody plays a very important role in pulling the rope in the same direction, and you need everyone's commitment. And obviously, as a leader, you're trying to pull people along harder than maybe they want to pull. You're trying to get them to pull harder. You're trying to get them to raise their ability. Quite often, you don't have to always worry about your best players. You have to worry about maybe the staff that may not be your best yet, because they have a lot of growth. They have a lot of ability yet inside of them, and it's up to you to help foster that as a leader. And I think that um, when you're building a business or you're building a team, it's all about having the right people involved that understand that, because it's bigger than just yourself. It's bigger than just the paycheck. It's having pride in what you do and the work that you do, and what that does for the team, and what it does for the organization, and what that yields as results. And I think it's only then fair for organizations or teams to take good care of their players and good care of their employees, so that they feel valued and rewarded and continue to drive their ability upwards. I think it's a great symbiotic relationship that has to happen. But it has to start with the right people who are willing to do it.
I've been in business for 25 years now. My family had a business before that. We've always tried to foster a sense of family. And there's nothing wrong with that. And I think that's at its maybe core, a very good quality. But I had a guest on the podcast a few months ago who just blew my mind. He's the CEO of a very expansive, tech company. And he said, we identify as a sports team. And we got into it a little bit. And I think I want to unpack that a little bit, because what he had said was, a family is a family, right? I have two great boys, but if they don't take out the garbage at the end of the year or at the end of the week, they're not off the team. They're not off the family, right? And the whole point of a team, sports team, is to win a championship. Maybe speak to me about that, because I'm starting to now like that metaphor for my business and what it means, because I think now you're going to attract individuals who want that championship, whatever it might be defined as, for your business.
Yeah, I think it's the right idea. I've met with a couple of business owners recently who have mentioned that, I run my business like a sports team. And we talked about it at a good level of detail, and then once day we'll do it here. Why are you building it like a sports team? What does that mean? And what it generally means, once again, you're trying to find the right kind of people that are motivated to bring their best every single day, that don't need to be constantly coddled or motivated or pushed or prodded to do their job, and find creative ability outside of the role to make it better, more efficient, or grow or become better, or maybe expand their role so that they can provide more value for themselves, so that that employer says, wow, you created a whole new avenue here. We recognize your value. That's what this means for you. We're going to promote you. You're going to get a new title. Maybe you created your own role. Maybe I didn't know that we needed this in our business. I know we need it now. You created your own position. We're going to have to hire someone to replace you. You want those kinds of people that have those kinds of motivations, that don't just come in to try to do the bare minimum, and who work well as a team. I can tell you right now, it's very hard for people, I've seen it outside of the football world, to work together as a team. For whatever reason, it's people have the wrong mindset. Believe me, on a team, not everyone gets along very, very well. Not everyone hangs out after the locker room. In Winnipeg, we generally do, because we have a very good, tight locker room, and which is why we are so successful, is because the closer your locker room is, the closer people bond, the better your success generally is. So in the business, it's no different. It's just harder. But in the football world, even though you may not want to hang out with someone outside of the football field, everyone's still pulling the rope extremely hard and respecting each other at a very professional level and working very well together to make it happen. Because guess what? There is no tomorrow. You aren't going to get the job done. You got to go. You either fit in or you're gone. Now, in the real world, in the business world, I believe it should be very much the same, because we're doing the same things. We're trying to reach a common goal. We're trying to drive a certain mandate, and we're trying to be successful. Why would we want to operate with the same kinds of fundamentals, right? Which comes down to then try to find the right people that identify with what your core values are as a business. And, you can, family atmosphere, a team atmosphere, a leadership, and a personally motivated atmosphere. One that, is driving efficiencies and creativity all the time. and people who are willing to step up, right? Whether it's so-and-so is gone today, I can take over their role, I can handle it, and I'm not going to complain about it. You know, everyone's willing to do what is necessary to make the organization better and obviously provide more value for themselves. And we kind of start to see what an organization could be like with that kind of mentality. You're kind of like, why would I ever do it any different? Right. Yeah, so I think that's a good start.
No, 2 points there I want to bring up. You know, you point towards mentors and coaches that have shaped you. I think, again, with the sports metaphor, you've got a coach who's maybe screaming in your ear a little bit, you know, push out another rep really for the purpose of trying to win that championship. You don't necessarily have the same feeling about your boss unless you know that they're doing it for that purpose. And while you might, you know, swear underneath your breath at your coach at that very moment, you certainly respect them for what the job they did. So that's point one. And I think point two, it's completely normal and functional in a sports team, particularly professional sports, for a high-functioning, great, talented individual to be traded off to another team because it doesn't serve that team. Doesn't mean they're a bad player, doesn't mean they're a bad teammate. They're just not the right fit at that moment. And I think businesses can learn a lot from that instead of, you know, fretting about firing so-and-so because they're not a good fit.
Yeah, so let's maybe talk a bit about point one. In sports, like I said early on, you as a coach can talk to people, kids, adults, differently than anyone else can because it's coming from a different kind of place. It's coming from a place of love and being able to try to get someone to reach their full potential, right? So believe me, football is probably, it might be the worst for it in terms of just hard coaching, what people recognize as a football coach, down your throat, MFing people, but on top of you, because like I said, there is no tomorrow. We need success now. We can't wait 2 weeks because we lost 2 games and now we're out of the playoffs. Like, it's an immediate results business, right? So it magnifies life outside of the sports world, is magnified in football in a very, very tight window that things need to get done and we can't wait. We actually needed the solution yesterday. So don't think that we're not getting it done today, right? Like, it has to happen. I believe that first off, leadership, you cannot ask someone to do something that you're not willing to do yourself. You cannot, you cannot be a leader and not put in the same effort or focus or determination or teamwork or display anything different than what you're asking your staff or your people to do. So I think that's first and foremost very important, because when you display that, people will start to listen and be more receptive and understand the culture that you're creating because they see it coming from the top. When the top demonstrates, works, behaves, demands, and does that all themselves, and it's very easy for everyone else to say, well, yeah, I see him doing it. Like, for example, we got Wade Miller. I remember in 2018, we had this massive snowstorm. He's the president of the Bombers and handling all the different duties, but yet in that massive snowstorm, and we got to be able to play in a day and get snow off the field, he's down shoveling the field, getting snow off the field, right? Not a lot of people would maybe do that, right? But it's whatever needs to be done. That's what the leader needs to do, and say, that's beneath me. Okay. There definitely is a point at which the leader needs to focus on key tasks. His majority of his business needs to be on those tasks, but you have to be willing to do anything that you're willing to ask people in the organization to do. Once you do that, you're able to build trust. You're able to build different kinds of relationships. You're able to motivate differently. But as you're an employee, you should take some value in being coached. If there's a better way to do something, if there's a more efficient way to do something, if there's overall ways you can grow, you should take that very positively, coming from a boss, your president, your leader, whoever you report to, because it's for good reason. And I'm not going to say that everyone's always perfect and there's not better ways to always do things, but in general, when I would hope that when people are being coached or asked to do certain things, it comes from people understand it's coming from a place of love and compassion and understanding that, that's what I'm here for. That's what my role is to do for you, is to help mentor you, help you grow, help us do things more efficiently, which makes everyone's life better. And, so I think if people can be generally more open to that, it's going to be a much better fit for companies who try to lead a sports franchise in their business in terms of how they want to create a team. You need people that are willing to grow. And that's where growth comes from, is being able to be mentored, coached, and push along the path. Like, you have to be willing to grow.
I can't agree with you more. I want to segue a little bit into sort of a little bit more personal, some questions here. Football wise, I know there must be so many. Can you give me maybe your top 3, best moments on the field?
Honestly, I think it's around winning championships. I mean, I played this game my entire life, and I've only won 3 championships, right? So those 3 moments would have to be those 3 championships, because there's so much work that goes into making it happen, from all the players to all the training staff to all the coaches to all the management. Everyone has a big, big role in making it all happen. And you think about it, you have 44 people on the field, you got your coaching staff, there's a lot of people, a collection of people that have to work together and have to get it done. And it's not one person, it's not 2, it's not 3, it's not 4, it's everybody. One person does the wrong thing in the play, that could be it. That could be all it takes for you to lose. And to have the right kind of people, the right kind of makeup to make a championship work, it's truly special because of what I just mentioned, how hard it is to get that collection of people together to make it happen. But with that being said, there's many moments in my career I've personally enjoyed, even though we lost in a playoff game or what have you, where, I've had incredible performances and I've given my absolute best. And, I remember those performances of things I've been able to do that, are very memorable. Like, just massive impacts on the game. Even though we didn't win, I made a ton of amazing plays that gave ourselves the opportunity, and, some just iconic memories that'll last a lifetime, right? So, it's not always about winning the championships. They are the most memorable, but the journey along the way is very, very special. And I will say, I generally don't remember all scores over games. I've played so many games, I don't remember all the scores. I remember the locker rooms. I remember the guys. I remember how we all felt. I remember the journey together. I remember that brotherhood. Those are the things that stick with you the most. Not just the scores of the games, and you know what I mean.
No, and for those of you who are listening on Spotify and Apple Podcasts and not watching on YouTube, I was smiling when Adam said, "I've only won 3 championships." I don't know how many people can say they have 3 rings, but we'll give you a pass on that. That just shows the level of focus and what you're wanting. But in the midst of that, how do you prioritize self-care? Because you're a very driven person. It's very easy to forget, take care of yourself.
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, more often than not right now is one of my biggest battles is, having enough me time. And I don't need a lot, I need a little, but like for me, I do get a lot of satisfaction of me time just being with my kids. Like, that is pretty much good enough for me. I mean, I do like, a little, I did take a vacation with the wife here, just a little bit ago. We got down south, got some warm weather, played a little bit of golf. Grandparents took care of the kids for a bit, which I do need that. But by and large, just being able to come home and be dad, it's kind of what I need at this moment for me time. But self-care other than that, like, nutrition and sleep are very, very important. And with my busy schedule, it's hard to get a lot of sleep. And it's hard to get the greatest nutrition just because I'm always like, oh, so what does that mean? I got to plan ahead. I got to be able to bring food, bring shakes, drink. Like, there's a lot that goes into it. So mentally right now, there's a lot going on that I have to handle that allows me to be successful with my current roles and so forth like that. And so with that being said, I mean, self-care is very important, and it's never been harder right now, I guess I would say, for myself.
No, and I hope the business owners that are listening to this podcast are taking notes, because I think that is the number one thing that slips when you're in the daily grind of being an entrepreneur and trying to grow your business, whole-handedly. Maybe tell me a little bit about Winnipeg. I know that you started, you said you're an American, and you're calling Winnipeg home now, and now you're developing a business here. What predicated that decision?
Well, I got my licensing in 2018 for securities licensing and to, be able to be an advisor. And at that time, I was coming back from the NFL, and Winnipeg, I thought, was going to be my best opportunity. And turns out I was right. In terms of football, we've done very well over the last 8 years. I mean, 4 out of 5 years I've been here, we've been to the Grey Cup. We've won 2 of them back to back. So from a football wise, I knew it was the right decision. And also I happened to meet some really great people here in the city. Charlie Spiring is the founder of Wellington Altus. He's a big Bomber fan, a big Bomber supporter. He previously had Jennifer Jones on his former company, Wellington West, where she was curling and working at Wellington West at the same time. So it was great, for the firm to have a high-profile athlete, and great for, since Jennifer starting her career while still competing at a very high level. And Charlie said, well, why would we want you to wait and retire and then come do this business? Start right now. So gave me the opportunity to start playing in Winnipeg and start building my business while playing. And it was really a no-brainer. It's a good fit for us here at the family. We built a home here in Bridgewater. This is home base, and our kids are loving it. Family's doing well here. And, it's really, really thankful for the opportunity to be doing what I'm doing right now, because I'm very passionate about what I do. And I have a very strong why of why I work with clients and what kind of value I can bring to clients with being my team. But, in general, being in Winnipeg, it's, we found it to be a very great place.
You mentioned that you're doing a lot of outreach, volunteering, other coaching programs, and speaking. What are you doing to inspire and empower others? Like, what messages are you sending out there?
Yeah, I mean, really, it comes down to a quote that I came up with once I became a professional athlete. It's outwork your competition, so there is none. So I said again, outwork your competition, so there is none. Right? I always felt that I was going to outwork everybody so that they couldn't beat me. That's how I knew I could truly earn something, was because I'm going to outwork you. I'm going to put in more time, more effort. I'm going to sacrifice more. I'm willing to go through more pain to be able to get what I want. And if I do that, I don't feel like you can play in the same field as me. I don't feel like there's I don't feel like we're competing anymore, because I'm going to be prepared at a whole different level than you are. And so, I get people to start thinking that way of, what are you willing to do to be able to sacrifice and be able to get what you want? Like I said before, no one's going to do it for you. You have to make very distinct decisions in your life. What do you want to do? Okay. And how are you going to do it? Okay. Make some goals along the way, and you got to be repeated and very consistent and methodical with your approach. You can't take 3 steps forward and 2 steps back, 3 steps forward and 2 steps back, 4 steps forward, 5 steps back. You can't do that. You need to do a very, continual progress growth path. I mean, sure, there's going to be times it gets hard. There's going to be times you feel like quitting. There's going to be times that you feel like, something's in your way, but it's up to you to move past that, okay? Because no one's going to do it for you. There's people out here. I remember one of my high school kids, friends said, how are you going to get a college football scholarship? There's only 1% or 2% of kids do that. What makes you think that you can do that? And I thought it was that's the craziest thought I've ever think. Why would anyone think that? Why would it? I'm betting on me. Someone's going to get a scholarship. Why not me? Someone has to become the CEO of this company. Why not me? Someone has to become the lead architect at this firm. Why not me? Someone has to become a doctor to save people's life. Why not me? Right? So, maybe another example. When I was in college, we were going through our med program. A lot of people in my program are looking and wanting to be doctors. And all of a sudden we get to that organic chemistry, and people bow out, say, no, I don't want to do chemistry. I don't want to be a doctor anymore. I'm going to change to this field. And where people took their lifelong dream of wanting to be a doctor and saying, it's not for me anymore because I don't want to do chemistry. Like, I don't want to sacrifice my time and effort to complete 2 years of programs of chemistry so I can be a doctor. Now I'm gonna just, I don't want to do that. You know? So it's an example of sacrifice. What are you willing to do to be able to get what you want? And it was really sad to me to see some of these people make that decision, because it's drastically making a huge impact on your life and where you're going. Granted, they might have went and done something else very, very well, but it's very sad to see people say, I don't want to work hard at this, and therefore I don't want this journey anymore. I got to go somewhere else. Right?
Yeah, that's so motivational. Before we wrap up here, I wanted to have a little bit of fun. Couple more questions here, if you'll indulge me. Share something of a lesser known fact or interesting tidbit about yourself that your fans or followers might be surprised to learn.
It's a good question. Yes, I taught myself how to play guitar at age 11. So I can play the guitar a little bit. I'm not like, Drew Wolotarski on our team. He's really good at playing guitar. He plays music for real, for real. Like, I can play the guitar. I'm not like amazing by any means, but I can play. Another thing I really like, I really like snowboarding, getting on the mountains and going snowboarding. I also like rock climbing. I've done a lot of outdoor rock climbing and climbing some really cool places, and being able to accomplish certain feats that only certain people in the world will be able to ever do or ever experience. So I found that very gratifying. I like hiking, getting outdoors. Those are some neat things about me.
Okay. All right. Speed round. Favorite football team besides your own?
Oh, CFL or NFL?
Well, your choice.
I'll stay with the BC Lions because I did have a career there. I do have a lot of fans there, and I still respect and love all those people out there as they still follow me and support me. NFL, the Saints. I played there. I had a good opportunity. I met some great people there, some great fans. Still stay in touch with some of the players, and so those are easy.
All right, next one. If you weren't a football player or a financial advisor, what career path would you have pursued?
If football didn't work out, I was looking to play professional soccer. I should have mentioned that as an interesting fact. I was also a really good soccer player.
Wow.
So I would have been looking at trying to play professional soccer. But if football or soccer didn't happen, there was going to be orthopedics. This would be doctoral rep.
Okay. One piece of advice you wish you could go back and give your younger self?
One piece of advice I give my younger self. Obviously, for me, one of them would be around confidence. Having a bilateral cleft lip propelled, I should have had more confidence in myself. From certain aspects of my life, I wish I could have gotten back and done differently. Other than that, I would just say, if I could go back and say anything to myself, is just that don't ever doubt that you won't make it. Like, I didn't doubt that I would make it, but I didn't know if I would make it. And as I reflect back on my career and the amount of work I put in, and I've been able to compare that to so many different people over my lifetime, there was no way I wasn't going to make it. Like I said, I'm not here by accident. If I could just go back and say, hey, you're going to make it, just keep doing this stuff, and you're going to be fine. Like, don't stress about the opportunity not happening. Just keep doing what you're doing.
Awesome. Okay, and final one. What's one thing on your bucket list that you haven't had a chance to do yet?
Bucket list. It's a great question. I mean, I think it would probably have to be around doing some traveling. I'd really like to travel the world a bit and be able to experience some other cultures and just see what else is out there. I mean, I've been so busy with my life in sports that I really haven't had any summers off ever. Like, I haven't been able to really travel. I haven't really been able to experience a lot. I want to experience that. I want my kids to be able to experience that as well. And so it's really bucket list. It's really going to be around traveling more.
Okay. And final question, because I ask every guest this, and I want to hear what you have to say. Adam Bighill, Grey Cup champion. This is the Investing to Win podcast. How do you define success, and what does winning look like for you?
I mean, success is defined really by your own journey, right? Like your journey is unique, and your journey, it should be one on bettering yourself and not comparing yourself to others. So success means you're better than you were yesterday, and you're better than you were the day before, and you're better the way than you were the day before. To me, as long as you're doing that, you're successful at that, and you're going to be on a very successful path. Um, and then winning looks like, and most people don't. I mean, it's not about the amount of points scored on the scoreboard and having more than someone else. It's really not. I mean, even though I've won 3 championships and those are the most memorable, I've had many games I've lost, and I've had really, really good games or really good performances. To me, winning is rising up to a challenge and defeating it, right? And you don't have to get recognition for it. That could be a small thing in life. That could be a small thing that comes up in your day that you handle, and you handle it with grace, and you handle it effectively. That to me is winning. Having a great mindset to be able to personally grow, that is winning, right? It may not feel like winning right now, or you have not seen the reward yet, but you're sure is enough winning. And I think those, if you kind of take a first part around success and around winning, you put those together and you really understand the kind of changes you can make in your life to really be impactful. I think a lot of people can make some pretty profound changes in their life, whether it's in business, whether it's around health, whether it's around relationships, or all of the above put together. I mean, just a well-rounded people. You think about those things, you have some great opportunity to make some great decisions for yourself and your family.
Well said, and a great spot to stop. Adam, I'd love to thank you for being with us. Such an inspiration. I know I'm motivated. I know our audience is. So thank you for spending and hanging out with me this afternoon.
You got it.